welcome. Stop laughing at me. Welcome back to Oh That Girl Reads, where we read what we love and DNF the rest. I am that girl, and I'm joined by my little sister.
Yeah, that girl doesn't read. I'm SunshineTLC. I'm her media coach and also her manager and also her PR person and also her marketing person.
She's everything to me. And we're kind of throwing it back today.
Yeah, well, I guess sort of. It's not like a true throwback because we failed too many times.
What do you mean?
What do you mean? You said throwing it back.
Yeah, like we're throwing it back to like when we used to make
No,
content
that's
together.
what I'm saying. Like we failed.
Making content together?
Yes, we
or
did.
Today?
We in fact failed making content together.
I felt like we did pretty good making content together. I mean, technically though, you kind of did all the work for that. But anyway. Let's just start off by like you introducing like yourself. Like what do you do besides be everything to Oh That Girl Reads and to me?
So I am a student. I'm a college student. I go to ASU and I'm an English major. I also have my own Twitch, which is like gaming stuff. I do like Overwatch, Valorant, Apex, etc. And I mainly just do that, honestly. I do a lot of social media stuff just because I genuinely liked seeing stuff grow and it's kind of addicting. And that's the only reason why I started to post for Oh That Girl Reads. So.
Are you serious? Is that like the only reason why?
My phone just made the fattest noise.
That was my phone. It wasn't me. Okay, hold on. So you already jumped to one of my questions for you today. You're saying that you're saying that the only reason that you started posting for Oh That Girl Reads is because you're addicted to growing things, not because you love me. And okay, wait, hold on. Let me just look at this question.
That started getting really needy real fast. Like, I was like.
Surprisingly, okay. I'm the older sister.
I know. I was like, wait, this is getting really needy really fast.
Okay.
Anyways. Honestly, yeah. Because in my mind, I'm very type A. I'm a control freak. And then I'm also kind of like, you know, if anyone can grow something, it's me. So then I was like, I got you, girly pop. And I made Oh That Girl Doesn't Read, which... Yeah.
And how is that going right now?
It's going really good. It's actually going surprisingly well. I haven't really posted on the page that much because, of course, I'm like obviously managing my own social media stuff. And so I've acquired 310 followers on there. And then I also have gotten like a good consistent amount of views and likes on stuff. So I'm like, it'd be growing. It'd be doing its job. So
it's doing surprisingly well. And I get kind of annoyed because it's kind of like, damn. She just comes up. She's like, oh my God, Bria, guess what I made? I made That Girl Doesn't Read. And then we discovered that she spelled girl wrong. But like, not girl wrong in the sense that she's dumb and can't spell girl. But like in the sense she thought that on Oh That Girl Reads it was spelled that way. But I think it kind of makes it, like, the branding of it just looks really good.
No, it actually makes the branding very good because it kind of has its own type of, like, entity to it. But then also it's still connected to Oh That Girl Reads. And then it was really funny because, like, one day this, I guess, like, publisher or something, like, DM'd me and they asked me if I could read some of their arcs. And I was like, well, like, Bria, the whole brand is that I don't fucking read. Like, why would I... Why would I review their arcs when I don't read?
Yeah.
And then it was really funny, too, because, like, you can see in some of my posts all the grammar mistakes that I have. And it's like, oh, that girl doesn't read. And it's like, yeah, I don't even feel bad about it. Because, like, it's literally my whole fucking brand.
Yeah, you're like, I'm not trying to act like I'm literate right now.
Yeah, like, I'm really not trying. And I'm a whole English major, too. That's the irony of it all.
Yeah.
I read all the time, but not in the sense where I read.
You're like, I don't actually enjoy this.
Yeah, I'm just here for the vibes.
Okay, so I need to know, because I think I'm perfect and amazing, but what is it like to be the brand content manager, everything for me?
So Bria's like a very lax person. She likes what she likes and doesn't do what she doesn't like. And that's the problem. Like, I understand, like, TikTok is, like, not where, like, a lot of people want to be, but it's really a mode in order to grow anything that you would want to do social media-wise at this point.
Right.
Even if you want to sell, like, clothing and you want to start a brand, TikTok is where most of advertising goes to nowadays. And so, my problem that I see the most is I'm like, she sucks ass at posting on TikTok. And not even in the sense where, like, she doesn't post consistently, which she doesn't. But then also, like, on top of that, like, I'm like, what the fuck? Because the tags you use is, like, so 2016 YouTube. Like, that's what it reminds me of. Like, sometimes I'm like, does she not know that this is not YouTube? Like,
I don't even know how to respond right now.
No, but
the
like,
fact that you called me 2016 YouTube is just like,
it's just like millennial, giving like slight. You are a millennial. Like,
I know,
low-key.
but like it's when you say it like an insult, it feels like an insult.
No, but yeah, no, it's not like bad. I'm like, genuinely, like, your content in itself, like what you provide to your audience is amazing. It's just that your marketing schemes are really old. Like, they're just outdated. Damn. And I see that and I get frustrated because I'm like, girl. Like,
what would you fix? Okay, so like, what would you fix?
I would fix your tags.
Okay.
I would also fix the style in which you do your talking videos, which is funny. Because you wouldn't think that, like, you would have to stylize the way that you talk, but you do.
You know, okay, do you like my most recent ones? Because I really like those ones.
No.
You don't like
Not for TikTok, no.
You don't like me sitting on the floor?
No.
Laying on the floor, actually, technically?
That's not the TikTok vibe. Like, again.
What's the TikTok vibe? I don't understand. Because I hate the whole, like, get ready with me, and it's a bunch of clicking and, like, clacking and stuff. Like, I make content that I like to watch.
You have to engage first, though. It doesn't fucking matter.
Okay.
Like,
so
I know, okay, in any social media realm, everyone says make content that you would watch, that you like. That's a fucking lie.
Oh. Okay.
The things I watch are so niche and random as shit that, like, if I were to be like, okay, I'm going to cater my gaming stuff to the things that I watch. Hell no. I don't even play the games half the time that I watch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, that doesn't even make sense. And then on top of that, like, you have to go with the trends. If you're not going with the trends, then you're not going to attract, like, a certain type of audience. And I was amazed because, oh, that girl doesn't read. It's not like I necessarily post the things that, like, I want to post on there because I genuinely don't read books. So it's like, what the fuck am I going to post about? Yeah. And I post about me and my sister's, like, sister relationship and how much, like, the things that annoy me. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, like, rather than it being like, oh, like, I'm posting things that I would want to post. No, like, I'm posting things that I think are, like, marketable and will get views. And it has worked so far. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, that's where it's, like, you use the audios. Even if you think the audios are stupid, there's some audios out there that I was like, I don't want to fucking use this. Like, why would I use it? But I literally sat down for, like, 15 minutes trying to figure out, like, how I can make this translate into the thing that I'm doing. And then I do it. And then, bam, like, one of them got like 70K views. Like the one where like the grandma one.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do that one at all. I actually thought that trend was annoying and stupid. Like I genuinely was like, this is the stupidest shit I'm ever doing in my life.
Yeah.
And then it amassed like 70K views.
That's crazy.
And I was like, okay.
So yeah, that's like the hard part for me because at least the people that I follow, it's not like they're making content where it's like they're using audios all the time. They're usually talking about like some controversial thing, some like, I don't know, either like a book ban thing or like just like something like where you like really would have to like mentally engage with it. It's not like fun content, to be honest. But those people that I follow have like, I don't know, like 30K followers on TikTok and stuff like that. And so I see that and I'm like, okay, like that's kind of like the stuff that people are more drawn to in the book community, but that might not necessarily be true either because I also feel like even with my 2016 hashtags and things like that, like the random content that I make or the silly content that I make is engaging, but it doesn't seem yet that it's really building that like community base.
So you know what I'm going to say about that is that I would get canceled. I'm just kidding. I might get canceled. I don't give a fuck. Because, but like genuinely.
That's such a gamer attitude. Like you can just tell like you have gamer vibes.
You can tell I'm a streamer by the way. I don't give a fuck. Like, we don't care. Like, because we're live streaming all the time. So anything that we can say can be clipped in an instant. This time it can be edited out. I'm just kidding. But literally, so my thing about people growing their social media in certain ways, some people grow it using controversial things because that's the only thing they have to give. And it sounds fucked up, but I'm like, if you have a personality, if you have something to actually give, you can go without those things. Like, you don't have to use controversial topics like book banning or anything like that in order to, like, grow an audience, especially because that would be very ingenuine of you too.
Yeah.
Because you know that you're not doing it for the right reasons. You're not actually talking about book banning because you fucking care about it. You're doing it because you want the views, you want the clicks, you want to, like, gain an audience, and you know for a fact your heart's not actually in that.
Yeah.
So to me, that's fake as shit. So, like, and when I notice people who are fake as shit using that stuff in order to grow a platform, I'm like, that is so sad. And I don't even think that their content is good at that point, because I'm like, you're so desperate that you're trying to, like, get an audience by being like, oh yeah, like, I'm so passionate about this. Like, that's why sometimes when people are, like, saying, like, they're involving themselves in certain boycotts and things, I'm like, are you actually? Or, like, are you just doing this because you want to look good and you know that you'll attract a certain demographic and they'll follow you, you know? So that's my thing. It's like, I don't really believe in that. I think that making funny content is more attractive. And for Oh That Girl Doesn't Read, the reason why I think it's gaining so many followers, like, so fast, because when I say, I think within, like, the past 2 weeks I've gained like 100 something followers on there, because I'm not sitting there and counting because that would be too much work, but it is about like 100 people followed me within, like, the past 2 weeks. The reason why I think that happened is because, like, I'm a Black female who is making funny, relatable content about my sister who's a reader, and she's bookish, and she does all this crazy stuff in order to get her books and to do this and do that. But I don't really make it about being Black in my Black experience as a reader or anything. I just am making that content, but then other Black women are seeing that and they can, like, relate to that, but then also, like, just, like, they're seeing someone like them in a space that's lighthearted.
Right.
Rather than something that's super serious. And like your podcast, you wanted it to be a very safe, lighthearted space with no controversy or drama involved in it. And I think that's the point, you know? Like, sometimes you can be Black and just have fun. Yeah. You know what I mean? You can be a part of the LGBT and have fun. Like, you can be, like, anything and just have fun. You don't need to make that part of your, like, growth journey in a negative light, you know? Yeah. And at some point, I had trouble with this when I was streaming, where I would watch a lot of, like, Black female streamers or, like, LGBT streamers, or, like, they use that as a key mode to them growing. And once that dies down, the hype around them being a, like, minority dies down, all of a sudden their viewership is, like, dropping. Because now the pity watchers are gone. Now the people that are like, I want to support you because of X, Y, and Z, not because of you, but because I know where you come from, are gone. And that's the problem to me. Yeah. And that's where I don't think that's a smart way to grow.
That's a really interesting perspective, too, because, like, you think about it, it does appeal to a certain... The suffering appeals to a certain audience. And it's usually, like, a cis, hetero, white dominated audience. And I guess that is difficult because, like, that audience does allow you, having that audience does allow you to have, like, a certain level of opportunity. It opens certain doors because then you get, like, that big viewership. But at the same time, you're right, it does tank. Like, think about all of, like, I guess the 2016 era YouTubers that we know who were, like, big during that time, and all of a sudden their views just crashed and dropped. Like, I think one person who did well, and not that she's a pioneer for this, but she's, like, the first person that I've seen, like, really stick to her guns, and that she was making content for Black women, was Jackie Aina. And, like, look at her trajectory. Like, it took her a long time to get here in terms of, like, in comparison to some, like, white creators. But, like, the level at which she's at right now, because she stayed dedicated to her base and not really playing to, like, not the pity, but, like, the struggleness of, like, being a Black woman, it just, like, led her really far.
And I want my demographic to be far and wide. And that's my thing. That's why, like, I never entertained that, and I never, like, voiced any of the struggles that I felt or the unfairness that I felt, because at the end of the day, like, I want a white man to be comfortable watching me. I want, like, you know, a little, like, Hispanic boy being comfortable watching me and stuff, because like no matter what, like he's relating to me as a person, or I want like a little girl to be able to watch me, you know what I mean? And like everyone to be comfortable in that space and feel safe in that space. Like I'm trying to create a diverse community.
Yeah.
And so for me personally, like if there was this idea of like pity or like this like, oh, I'm gonna watch her because she needs my help.
Yes, because then you're not being a service to your audience. Your audience is being a service to you.
Exactly. I'm here to entertain you, you know? So I think that's like the major difference. And like the only reason why I was like, oh, I can be like canceled for these topics is because I don't want to like make other creators that have stated their struggles like into villains or something, because that's not the case. It's just that I saw that and I was like, well, I understand if one day I'm a big, huge creator, right? And I talk about my struggles, right? But I don't want to start that from the beginning. You know what I mean?
That makes sense.
Like, I don't want my base to be the struggle, because that's not true. I'm like, I'm having fun, you know? I'm getting to know everyone just like they're getting to know me. Like, I don't want that to be my overall base. And so that's what I'm kind of against, you know? And I don't blame them for wanting to talk about their struggle. But then again, that takes away the safe place. And that means now you're dumping on your audience.
Yeah.
And that's the problem too. You don't want to dump on your audience.
I think that makes a lot of sense too. And it's funny because like when I first started Oh That Girl Reads, it really was supposed to be like a place for me, kind of. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the first priority of Oh That Girl Reads was me. And as things kind of went on and I kind of got more involved in specifically like the book talk community, it felt like I had to have like this responsibility to the community as like an influencer, right? Yeah. But I didn't really start the podcast off to be like an influencer. I started it off to be like a girl who's literally spitting into a mic about books that she's read and things like that, and just to be silly. But I felt like I had this strong like social responsibility to talk about like the drama and like the book talk space or like on the booktube space, and it felt like that if I didn't say certain things about, you know, certain controversies, that I was being complacent. And so like when you're making content or when you're helping me make content, like how do you take it in account for things like that, like big controversies within your like niche community?
Honestly, there's many controversies. If anyone asks me, I never give my direct opinion, to be frankly honest. Yeah. That's more for protection of myself, and then also protection of the people that are in my audience, because like I never want to make them feel like they're on the outs, especially if like, and I don't want to argue with them. I really don't. Like, I can honestly in my whole heart say that like if I'm streaming, I'm doing it live, right?
That's true. That's such a different game.
I'm on the fucking spot. It's not even like I get to have a moment where I'm like, hold on, guys, and I can like sit there and like forget. Like, no, there's no way. And when Bria's making content, obviously we can sit there and chew on it a little bit. But that kind of depends on if someone asks you directly to say something. Right. And the best thing that I can offer anyone who is trying to make content and they're asked their opinion on something controversial or something political or anything like that is to provide resources for people to educate themselves. That's all. Yeah. And for me personally, like if anyone asks me about anything controversial, if they ask me about politics and I feel like I'm not educated enough to say anything in the moment, the best thing I can offer is be like, hey, like I know this YouTuber or I know this TikToker or I know this article website that can provide you with more information, and that's all I'm going to do. Yeah. Like I don't feel like as someone who is just an entertainer, I don't feel like I'm qualified to speak on certain things. Especially because I know that for my mental health, I don't actually like heavily involve myself in media, in the news, even though like I love social media. I will never put myself on the side where I have to constantly face trauma, and that's very privileged of me to say because like I get to do that, and I know some people don't, but I will always provide the resources in order for someone to get that education if they want to, if they feel like it, you know. But I would definitely say just like be open to providing resources for people rather than having to put yourself in a position where you might regret saying something out of, you know, ignorance, you know? Yeah. And that's my fear, is seeming ignorant.
Yeah.
And that's why I really don't say anything. I'm more so just like, if they're like, hey, like, you know, can you say something? I'll be like, well, like, all I know is that I have a couple of YouTubers, TikTokers, some websites that you can like look further into this. I have areas where you can like donate and stuff, but I will not like say my opinion on stuff.
Yeah. There was this interesting conversation that I was like listening to on TikTok about how like being neutral in certain spaces, it reveals something about a person's character, and that like in a way you can remain neutral without like being like, oh, I'm neutral, you know, because that actually like weirdly enough triggers people a lot more.
Yeah.
But I think your approach is kind of exactly what they're talking about, in that like you're remaining neutral in a sense, because it's like you don't have like, you feel like, you know, either you're not like educated enough for the situation, or you're not directly involved in the situation or something like that. But at the same time, you're pointing them to areas where you're kind of like, this is what I can provide for you. I'm not saying that, you know, I don't care about this at all, but that instead I need you to take a little bit more responsibility.
Yeah.
And like how you're finding information, which is actually a really positive thing if you think about it, to like critical media literacy.
Yeah.
In a way. And because like they also have to think about the resources that you're giving them along with the resources that they have originally encountered in the first place. So they have to engage in like some critical thinking and as like, well.
Honestly, at the end of the day, the resource that you give them is an answer in itself. So
that's true.
It shows what side you're on, truly. And it shows in your actions rather than you verbalizing it. But the reason why I think that's like a smarter way to go about it too is because whoever you provide also has done extensive research, which at that point you should be providing someone actually like credible. But like your actions show. And if this is about like, let's say there's a controversy in the book world that has something to do with a booktuber, just don't say anything. That's not your fucking business. Especially not. Like, I would literally just say, not my business.
So, like, when it comes to people, like, in the community, because remember, we had, like, Dramageddon. Like, this is, like, the shit that we used to watch, right?
Yeah.
So, when it comes to people in the community, it was such a big thing to be, like, weighing on,
but you're,
like, the situation.
And that's so like, inappropriate, because, again, this is, like, real people's lives you're talking about. Like, these booktubers. And what happens when there's newfound evidence that something occurred and the sides switch on you,
which happens a lot,
and it happens so much in 2016. Much. It happens so much.
It happens so much.
That's why, don't say anything.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's not your business. It's really not. Like, you're not some like, and it's not even like they're being social warriors either. They're probably like, a lot of times, like, I know that a thing happened where like people were like doing all the drama about that one guy on like Book Talk for being famous. I don't even know.
Oh yeah. What was his name?
I don't remember.
He was just reading romance books, and he was hot,
and people were upset about it.
A lot of followers,
and I'm like, there's no reason to speak out on it in terms of like being negative. And I understand wanting to defend someone. That's appropriate. I think it's very appropriate to defend someone who needs defending, especially in that scenario, because it was so ridiculous. But if there was like a huge controversy about like an action they did, or like something like a battle between two book talkers, like, you're not a drama channel. Yeah. Like, what is your content about?
That's exactly what, because I mean, again, Brooke is my manager, PR person, everything. But I remember when there was like that whole like Seattle Kraken situation, and basically it got to the point where you're like, don't say anything. If you need to say anything about the situation, like, say it to me. So I was just telling Brooke like all the tea on this situation and all my thoughts, and it really helps. Like, I remember having a conversation with Therese, the author of Chaser, where she was basically saying like, you need to have certain people in your corner that aren't yes men, who can like keep you in line, keep you in check. Because you might get involved in things and you're like showing out and giving your opinion and being really loud and really vocal, and it comes back and bites you in the ass. Yeah. And that, I think I've had so many moments with the podcast this year where I really had to learn like how to present myself while also being true to myself at the same time.
And it's like, and in a sense, I'm jealous of people that do recorded content, because they can like listen back and be like, damn, what the fuck am I saying? Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm a live streamer.
Yeah.
And I've had moments while live where I knew I fucked the fuck up.
So how do you fix that? Do you just like panic?
I didn't panic. I think one of the things is, um, I was younger, okay, when these things were happening, and no one called me out on them. But I internally knew that this was going to hurt someone. Like, and I'm not going to say exactly what I was doing, what I was saying, or anything, because it embarrasses me. Like,
Oh, really?
I got flushed in the face. Like, on stream, my face got hot. Like, I was so embarrassed that I did that. And right after I finished streaming, I deleted the video. Because I was like, there's no fucking way.
Yeah.
And like, and I knew that I did it out of like, I was doing my actions out of anger and all this other stuff. But I was like, that is so inappropriate. You know what I mean? None of my chat called me out because they're gamers. A lot of gamers like are horrible people. Like in the sense where like, we're not actually horrible people, but like in the community, it's normal to say and do certain things that like, a normal person outside of the gaming industry would be like, why the fuck? Like, what the hell?
Do you think that's even acceptable?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so, like, in the moment, I pivoted my energy and I got more positive afterwards. But once you say or do something, it's almost impossible to, like, take that back.
Right.
You put it out in the universe. It's in the air now. It's stuck there, you know? There's also, like, so much, like, history now, data nowadays, too, that it's, like, it's stuck there, you know? And I knew it. And in the moment, like, I didn't acknowledge it because it shocked me. You know what I mean? But within the next stream, I changed my tune. You know, I improved myself. I got better. I learned from it and I moved on. Yeah. Now there's the case of if I'm playing with someone else, though, and they say something that is off kilter and, like, they're doing all these things, I am, like, stuck like that. Yeah. You know what I mean? And now I'll just be like, hey, like, you know, I'm getting off. Like, I don't want to, yeah. And then I'll apologize to my stream, and then we'll move on. Sometimes, like, I had that one situation in my chat where people were like, that was really uncomfortable. Yeah. And then I, like, cried when I stopped, like, when I stopped streaming because I felt so guilty that I put my chat in an uncomfortable situation. Even though it wasn't me, I still was like, I made them uncomfortable. Like, I put them in that position and I felt really guilty and I felt bad. But I learned from it. And when I was playing with those people, they weren't my friend. I just, like, met them randomly while I was playing. And I, like, invited them to the party. And I realized I can't do that if I'm streaming. I can't play with random people. And so I really stopped playing with people in general because I'm like, I don't really like the things certain people say. Yeah. And it's hard, too, because sometimes I inherently want to coach my friends when they say certain things. Yeah. And I just don't. I don't say anything to them, mostly because it's like, we're not in that close of a relationship for me to say anything. Yeah. And if we were closer, I would say stuff and, like, try to, like, speak out a little bit more. But I feel like it does come a bit weird if I say stuff and I can't. Yeah.
And so after that incident where your chat was like uncomfortable, is that when you introduced having mods, or did you have mods already at the time? I
had mods already at the time, but they can't do anything because we're in a game.
Oh, so they weren't in the chat.
They weren't in the chat. We were in the game. Oh. So all this happened while, like, I was in the game. So, like, my mods can't do anything about it. Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's so tricky. Like, I think that's kind of why I'm kind of resistant, though, to doing, like, the live, like, book chat. Because, I mean, a lot of, like, book talk people, they do, like, the little live things together, and you can, like, be invited or join and stuff like that. And I think that's, like, why I'm always, like, hesitant to, like, do shit like that, because sometimes they get, like, a little crazy. I'm not gonna lie. Like,
I wouldn't say, like, it's bad to do it. You just have to become a good moderator for your, like, chat, and then you also need to not allow people to get too personal with you. And it sounds weird because I think with live streaming in particular, that's where it happens the most, is that people genuinely think that you're really close. And because you become their comfort person. Right. And so within that comfort, they think that they can cross certain boundaries. And now, like, I got to the point where I'm comfortable enough with streaming that I call out people when I think that they're doing wrong. And I tell them straight up, if you keep doing this, I'm going to ban you.
Yeah.
And I say it like plain simple. I'm not giggling. I'm not laughing. I'm dead ass. Like, I will ban you.
Yeah.
And I realize like being cutthroat is what gets your community to the place that you want it to be in. Because I remember at one point, like, I had a certain dynamic that I disliked because it felt like it was too personal and it was starting to hurt my feelings a lot. And I would stream and then I would be like, I don't want to stream anymore. Because like I just felt like all my boundaries were being crossed. But then finally, I just was like, if you keep this up, I'm banning you.
Yeah.
And then they realize, oh, like this is like wrong. You know what I mean? And it's interesting. And I think sometimes people kind of get this idea that celebrities, streamers, booktubers, anyone dealing with social media has to be overly open to their audience, and that's not true. I'm like, you can provide people with a good experience without completely stripping yourself of your dignity and who you are.
That's like something that I actually learned through being a boudoir photographer, because at the time when I was like building my business, it was all about using your own personal story in order to like connect with people and to make an audience. But after a while, it legitimately felt like I was stripping myself of not only my dignity but my privacy, and just giving all of these. I mean, sure, the group was a bunch of women, right? But it was just like giving all of these people like these intimate, deep parts of myself who didn't necessarily deserve it. And I think that's like something that's really interesting about social media nowadays, is that like when I'm just scrolling on TikTok casually, like these aren't even people who are like trying to be, or at least I assume aren't trying to be TikTok famous, and they're like giving out like
all their baggage.
All of it. It's crazy.
And like the funny thing is like I literally had a weird breakup thing while I was live streaming. I was live streaming and I got like broken up with practically.
Yeah.
My audience didn't know.
Yeah.
And I made a TikTok later, a funny ass TikTok. And I was like, when you get broken up on live stream and it was like an audio. And then my chat, like the people that like watched me were like, wait, what? That happened? And I was like, yeah, yesterday. And they're like, what?
Yesterday?
Yeah. They were like, that's crazy. They're like, we didn't even know. But like they didn't know because like my worlds are separate.
Yeah.
I keep them heavily separate. I'm not going to go on to my stream and talk about something so negative because they're there to have fun.
Exactly.
And I take it slightly as a job, you know, because I'm trying to provide them with a safe place. If I wanted my safe place, I'm going to go watch my favorite streamer on Twitch. I'm not going to like live stream and then dump on everyone. I'm not here to trauma dump. I'm here to provide them relief from their real life, you know? So I think that's my thing, is like, you can keep it separate while also like providing someone with a service, you know? Like you can be someone's comfort person without sharing your deep darkest secrets about your life, you know?
Exactly.
Because the funny thing is that like, you know, a lot of people, you know, like the people that are like mindset, like they like post on TikTok about like shifting your mindset and like becoming a better person and renewing yourself. Like sometimes they'll talk about their like deepest, darkest secrets, but they don't even realize that they don't even need to tell their deepest, darkest secrets without actually like, with like, they can connect with people still. And I've learned that because I was like telling you about how for your book talk, I was like, oh, like, you know, like you can talk about romance, you can talk about your genres without like completely niching down.
Yeah.
You know, like you don't have to be like, oh, like I got hit by a car and then like go on and on about that.
Yeah.
And like give the advice, because then it shortens like the actual range where people can relate, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like, for example, I talk about gaming stuff. I play Overwatch. I'm very niched down into that shit.
Yeah.
Like that is my niche at this point. But I fear niching down further. So within my posts, I rarely mention the actual like players that I use, like the heroes that I play.
Oh, and like how you actually like how type stuff.
Yeah, I don't mention the heroes that I play. I don't mention if I'm a support, DPS, or tank. What I do is I talk about the game as a whole and how the game functions, so that I'm not niching down so hard that like even less people can relate to what I'm saying, you know? And for example, if we're going to talk about romance, right? A romance novel, I'm not going to name a specific book. Because if I name a specific book, that again shortens the range of people that can relate to whatever I'm saying.
Yeah.
And that hinders the chance of, you know, conversation to start.
Yeah.
Because then in the comment section, people will be like, oh yeah, in X, Y, and Z book, this is da-da-da-da-da. And then they get excited because they're sharing something about something that they love and that they're passionate about, you know? And then you can respond, gain that relationship. And then like you move on to other people commenting, you know what I mean? But if you say a specific book series, people will be like, never read that. Scroll.
Yeah.
Or they'll be like, oh, I fucking hate that book. Scroll. Or they'll be like, oh, I read that book. It's all right. Scroll. Or they'll be like, oh, I love that book. Like, scroll. They're not gonna talk about
like
it.
engage,
Yeah, because you have to get the engagement of it
Right.
all, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's what's really important about like making content. You don't want to like lessen the chance of someone relating to what you're saying.
Yeah.
You know?
That makes sense.
And that's why, like, when people even talk about the hard times that they go through, and of course, not everyone is posting to become famous or something.
Yeah.
But like, if you're trying to become a channel that like gives advice or something, you don't want to like niche down too hard, even in that. I know it's hard because it's like, but it's my emotions.
Yeah.
But like, as a PR marketing manager person, who the fuck cares about your emotions? Like, and that's the thing. Like, it's cutthroat and hard.
Yeah.
But it's honest.
That's true.
It's honest truth. If you go to like, and I've learned this mostly from all of the marketing people that I see, all the managers that I see, and the harsh reality of what it's like, even in California. They plan those shits.
Yeah.
Have you seen some of the YouTuber apologies? You know for a fact they did it for traction.
Yeah.
Like, ukulele. That's all I gotta say.
Ukulele.
Like, you know for a damn fact that was for, like, traction.
Yeah.
A draw, attention, you know? Because it went viral.
It did.
And so that's the thing.
And people make references to it. I made a reference to it.
I just did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's stuck and it's ingrained in our brains.
Yeah.
So that's what it's all for, though. Like, you have to really, like, create something that is going to be, like, everyone can be drawn to it. Because not everyone even gave a fuck about that drama until that happened.
Yeah, no one, yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying, though, is that, like...
It was very community focused until it wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it hit a large audience. And the people who had no information about it, of course, made memes about it, you know, because of the way the song was.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm saying, though, is that you have to be strategic, even if you want to be someone that helps other people.
Yeah.
Which sucks. But that's just how the social media realm works, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it is what it is. The people that get the most traction are, like, the most, like, almost maniacal about it.
Yeah, a little bit manipulative. Like,
yeah.
There is, like, a level of, like... I wouldn't say manipulation. It's just like intention. Like
yeah,
like,
there's a level of intention. You have to be intentional, you know, and you also have to be open to talking to people about things that you're not even interested in. And that's the truth. Like sometimes I'll be playing Overwatch and someone will mention a very far off game I've never heard of in my entire life, but I will sit there and I will happily watch every gaming trailer that they send me and like every game suggestion that they make to me because I actually care about them as individuals and what they're interested in. I'm here to get to know you. I know when like some of my viewers' assignments are due. I know when they have like a big exam coming up. I know when they have like a wedding coming up or certain events. Like I remember them as individual people.
Yeah.
And I can do that easily because I'm a small streamer at this point. Obviously, if I was a bigger streamer, that would be 10 times more difficult. Almost impossible. Truly big streamers only remember with the community that they started with.
Yeah.
But I'm at the point where I get to actually make connections because I'm not making connections with that many people. And so that is important.
Yeah.
And there's intention behind it, yes, of course, because I'm trying to grow my stream. But also, the intentions aren't negative, you know? And so I think that's one of the things is that, like, social media influencers aren't inherently evil or anything. It's just that they know they have to do certain things in order to make their way. Yeah. You know? Exactly. And that's just how it is.
So you've been, like, on the internet for, like, most of your life.
Yeah. I started to get into social media, I think when I was, like, about in 3rd grade or 2nd grade. I'm not entirely sure. But it's because I was really into watching I Has Cupcake and she did Minecraft content.
Oh, my God.
So she honestly inspired me to start my YouTube channel when I was really little, and my mom ended up buying me this like really cheapy like headset mic, and I used that. And at one point, I'd actually went viral as one of like the raging kids on Minecraft, but back then, like of course you're little, so you make dumb decisions, and I decided to delete the whole channel.
Yeah.
Because I was
Mom was so mad at you for doing that.
I was like, fuck this. And then I like deleted the whole channel. And then as I grew up, I went on and off with making like the Minecraft content. And I was really upset about the fact that I deleted the original channel that was there. Because then I like had never had like that type of a viral moment again. But at the same time, I'm like, whatever, like who the fuck cares? I didn't get viral off of like rage content. But now I do streaming on Twitch, and Bria actually recommended me to Twitch because she was like, oh, like I think you should try this like streaming platform. Like, have you ever heard of it? It's Twitch. And I was like, no, I haven't. So then I ended up starting to stream on there, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Because we also, like, me and Bria had a channel together called Brooke and Bria, and we posted reactionary content, and it was honestly a really fun channel until it wasn't.
So good. Yeah, it was fun until it wasn't. That was a huge thing.
I was getting death threats over Ariana Grande's ponytail. And that's the moment where I was like, people are fucking stupid. Yeah. Like, and I honestly, like, I put in so much work for that channel too, and everyone hated me. Like, that's the funny part. Like, I was the one who like edited everything. We would stay up until like 1 a.m. doing like reactions, and then I would stay up until like 3 a.m. editing, and then I would go to bed and go to school at like 7 a.m. because I'm like a high schooler back then. Yeah. But then I was getting all of the hate. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? Why would I do this? Like, this doesn't even make sense. Like, why would I make this content for people to only like hate on me when I'm like trying so hard to put this stuff out? And it's because I was too honest. They wanted to like the reactionary people that are like liars. That like just like
yeah, and you know what? That happened to like another sibling reaction.
I remember them.
Yeah, we used to watch them all the time. They were like they loved like Fifth Harmony and everything. And the brother was the really harsh one. Like he would be, and they essentially did the same thing where they just like bullied him off the channel. Yeah. To where it was only the sister left, but she didn't really like doing the content by herself because it was supposed to be something that she did with her brother. Exactly. And like I don't know. I feel bad leaving you to do all that work to yourself, but I also really didn't know jack shit back then about anything.
I also like I did vlogging back then, so like I also knew how to edit in the first place. Yeah. So that's what made it like 10 times easier.
Yeah, but you were really on the internet for like a super long time, and I'm glad that you decided to bestow all of your knowledge onto me and support me in everything that I pursued with this. It's funny because like honestly, I didn't really expect, like, not that I didn't want Oh That Girl Reads to be, like, you know, something big later, but I didn't expect to, like, start this whole, like, grind journey with it. So, as my manager, and I guess these can be, like, our final 2 questions, but as my manager, what would you say you would like to see differently about Oh That Girl Reads? Like, whether it's, like, on the podcast itself, on socials, whatever.
I feel like honestly it's more of like providing a more intimate connections, you know what I mean, with your viewers, and like kind of understanding like the psychology behind them. I feel like that's kind of harder to do because like it's easy for me since I'm a live streamer. Yeah. I can literally ask in real time what people are like actively thinking, and so I think kind of getting like the community more engaged would be really cool to see. And just like showing more of who you are, you know, because I do feel like, yes, like I like the interviews, I like getting to know people, but I also think it's important that like we get to know you know, what inspires you to like start reading, like what made you become Oh That Girl Reads in the first place, and just hearing kind of like your story with reading is important because reading is a very deep and vulnerable thing, and I think anyone in the book world can understand that. I was obsessed with reading when I was younger, and like I kind of like fell off from it, but I know the place that I was in when I was obsessed with reading. Yeah. And I love like the idea of like transporting yourself into like another realm, another world. And so I think kind of understanding your backstory on that, and like having like more of an intimate connection with your relationship through reading would be cool to see. So
okay. And then Let's see. What are you most proud of in terms of Oh That Girl Reads?
I was more so kind of impressed with like the numbers going up in terms of like the viewership of the podcast and stuff. That was like really impressive. Mostly because like we see it's not just like, you know, the work you're putting in. I also see like the reaction to like the stuff that I'm posting, and I just find it fascinating.
Yeah.
I think numbers are just fascinating. So I think that's something that I'm very proud of. And I also think it's great that you have this ability to like connect and interview people, because it's very hard to interview people. And I don't think that people get that. To be good with people is very hard, especially because like it is very easy for the person to feel like they're being like bombarded when getting interviewed. And everyone's seen like Justin Bieber interviews. They've seen like, you know what I mean, the celebrity interviews, and they're like, this is a horrible interviewer. Yes, it is hard. It's a hard job to have, you know. Especially because like you have to have some form of like closeness and proximity to the person without it coming off overly you know, suck uppy, but then also you don't want to have too much like distance and like curtness to where you're being offensive. So like there's a balance to it, and I think you have that perfect balance in order to do well within interviews. So
Oh, thank you.
no problem. Also, she used to like work for like little journalism stuff in college.
I did used to do a little bit of journalism things, so I like that I can bring that part to the podcast. Like I think that's kind of like one of those like not known facts about me, I guess, that I could share. Yeah. I think in general I'm just a very guarded person. I don't mean to be, but
I don't think honestly, I don't think it as guarded. I just don't think you think of those things. You know what I mean? Like
I don't assume that people want to know stuff
exactly.
About
like
me.
I didn't really assume much about like for my Twitch. I was surprised when people were like, "How was your date?" And I was like, oh, they remembered that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like surprising to hear what people are interested in, but like people are interested in you. That's why they like watch the podcast. So, just like show more of yourself and like what you actually bring to the table, rather than being like super like, you know, oh, they're only here for this. Because I'm like, no, it's your podcast.
Yeah,
like, you know?
That's true. Okay, I'll keep that in mind for season 2.
Yeah.
Which I'm so excited. This is actually the final episode of season 1. So thank you so much, Sissy, for coming on to the podcast. And like, I also felt like it was kind of important. I mean, I didn't think about this until like 2 days ago, but I wouldn't have felt like there's anyone more perfect to have on like the last episode of Oh That Girl Reads for season 1, because honestly, guys, she has been so supportive since the beginning. Even like with the literal conception of Oh That Girl Reads, I remember we were like driving, we were still living in our old city, and like we were driving in the car and we were going back home, and I was like, I really want to do a podcast. I'm not ready to do like a weekly schedule. But I was like thinking monthly, and she's like, no, like if anything, do like bi-weekly and then like work up to it, things like that. And like she was giving me ideas from the very conception of Oh That Girl Reads. She helped me brainstorm things, and then I was kind of like, oh wait, what about like Oh That Girl Reads? And she's like, oh, that's so cute. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so she's been like there with me along the way, and then she became our first sponsor. Like this mic, like the quality of like the audio, as well as like the quality of the camera work, like she's let me use her camera. Like this is her camera, and like she used her money to like help me with my podcast. So like you've been such like a supportive part of my life in general. Like you've just always been like my homie, my best friend, my love, my sunshine, like my literal everything, and I'm so obsessed with you.
Thank you.
But like you've always like shown up for me, and I just deeply appreciate that, and I hope you know that.
Yeah.
And I hope you guys enjoyed meeting my little sister, my manager, my PR person. Literally everything. My first sponsor, literally everything to this podcast. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. Where can they find you?
So you can find me on Twitch at SunshineTLC. You can also find me on TikTok at that same handle. And then if you guys want to see more bookish content from me, then you can follow Oh That Girl Doesn't Read. It's spelled absolutely fucking wrong. So definitely check out the YouTube video so that you guys can see how it's spelled on the screen. And
Yes. Thank you guys for being here. Remember to read what you love and DNF the rest, because life is way too short to read books that we don't like. And we'll catch you guys in season 2. Bye. So long, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. If you would like to see more, you can find me on Instagram and TikTok, Oh That Girl Reads. If you want more bookish content, feel free to check out my booktube channel, Bria L, on YouTube. Remember, read what you love and DNF the rest. Bye!